And there you are, Hidden Nation. So good to see you. Welcome into the studio. You got Josh Carey here. It's your Hidden Entrepreneur. Hidden Nation, one thing for you. Roll up your sleeves, get a pen and paper, and take notes because this is a good episode. If you are even remotely connected to Gary V and his world, you are going to enjoy what we're talking about and what you're going to be able to implement based on the topic. We're joined again. It's not my first time interviewing him, but he is back. It's James Orsini, one of my absolute favorite people. And if you know anything about James, you know everybody who knows him and connected to him really says the same thing. And you're going to see why. James, so good to see you. Welcome to the program.
Quite the introduction. I hope I live up to the fanfare, but great to see you again, Josh.
You know, I'm not just saying these words, right? It's just something that I think everybody tends to say about you. Let's start there. And then we're going to get into Vive, which is Vayner's newest program. It's a 4-month high accelerator program for high achievers. 4 months, 12 people max each cohort, which is unbelievable. You guys are currently in your second. So we're going to talk about all this because you and Andrea Sullivan are really running that program. So we're going to get into that. But I want to talk about you as a person while we just brought it up. You must know and hear and see how people receive you. You're aware of that, right?
I am aware of that. I'm humbled by it. I don't take it lightly. What do they say? It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and a second to lose it. So I work very hard to keep it.
I want to come back to all of that, but let's start with Vive. I said it's a 4-month, 12-person tight, high accelerator program under the Vayner brand that you and Andrea run.
Yes.
Why is now the time for this program? What makes it so special?
Well, I think when Gary first came to us, it was he was sensing that entrepreneurs and seasoned C-suite marketers were, as he labeled it, low in the tank. You know, they were really just feeling overwhelmed by the work that was in front of them, and not having a proper balance, caring for themselves. You know, we touch on all aspects of wellness to create great leaders, right? So it's really based on Gary's legacy, and in particular, his 2 most recent books, 12 and a half, which is the soft skills of leadership, empathy, kindness, gratitude, and his most recent book, Day Trading Attention, which is about, finding the underpriced attention in the marketplace. So he also realized that, he's left brain entrepreneur and right brain marketer, but there was nothing for the cross-pollination of entrepreneurs and marketers. Like there were either you go down the lane of a marketer and these classes and services are for you, or you go down the lane of entrepreneurs and these are for you. But there's really magic when you bring those 2 sides together.
Is that what's different about Vive versus when you had it for Sasha clients and maybe the 4Ds or any other program, really?
Yeah, those are all, those are all still offerings that we provide. And we haven't found the leadership acceleration program that brings together these two camps. And, the marketers learn from the entrepreneurs about speed and not being afraid to fail and learning more from your failures than your successes. And the entrepreneurs learn from the marketers about scaling and delegation and, leaning into culture for your next initiative. So it's really worked out well. And the communities are coming together in a way that we never really anticipated.
You've been, this coming year is going to be your decade-long 10-year anniversary with Vayner. You came from Interbrand, if I'm correct. Yeah.
I had Interbrand in the past, but I actually, before coming to VaynerMedia, I was actually CEO of a small publicly traded mobile media company called Cedo, traded on the NASDAQ.
and you came in. So now you've been practically right alongside Gary for these 10 years. As you told me, you are currently, your current title is President of Startup Operations, brand new title and division there.
Yeah.
This is your fourth title in 5 roles?
Fourth title in 5 different roles that I've played in the 10-year period. But that's the beauty of a growing company, is there's always opportunities, and I go where he tells me to go. So started out as this chief integration officer, a title that he said was amorphous enough to really have me play in whatever area he needed me to play in, without being a threat to anyone. And then his brother AJ stepped down with a pretty public bout of Crohn's disease, and I took on the chief operating officer role. Uh, while playing that role, he asked me to go run the studio for 6 months in Long Island City. And I remember distinctly saying, "Hey, Gary, yeah, I never really ran a studio before." And he goes, "That's okay. It's a business, and you've run businesses before. Go over and fix it." So I did that for a while, and then he came to me and said, "Hey, I want to start a new company. I want to name it after my dad for legacy purposes, and we built a company to service Fortune 500, and I want something for small, medium-sized, and challenger brands." So that was the birthing of the Sasha Group, and then he came back, and that was very successful. We doubled the revenue in 5 years. We never dipped below a double-digit profit margin in any one year. Um, and then he said, I got a couple other things I want to get off and running. So let's do it like we did Sasha, which is really more of a start right than a startup. So I became president of startup operations for VaynerX, and the first thing that he had me work on was something that he really saw a need in the marketplace, and wanted a commercial business model around it. And that was Vive by Vayner, which is this leadership acceleration program for successful entrepreneurs and Fortune 500 C-suite type folks.
What do you do really well that someone like Gary sees in placing you in these roles?
It's so funny because when he hired me, he said, "Can you describe what you do in a single sentence?" And I said, "Yeah, I take dreams and visions and make them into action plans." And he was like, "Okay, great, you're hired." So that's kind of what I do. I mean, it's an idea, and now somebody's got to commercialize it. If you think about this particular initiative, we had a plan for it, then we had to program it, then we had to sell into it, then we had to launch it. We did that all. I believe we kind of planned and wrote a business plan in January. We started programming it in February and March. We started selling into it in March and April, and we launched it in May. So we will stand up 2 classes this year and 3 next year.
Are you somebody that, like others who follow Gary V, the person, the brand, the lifestyle, are you also learning from him and watching him on the front lines day to day?
Absolutely, absolutely. Never stop learning. Never stop learning from him. Try to apply what I can. I mean, it's like drinking from a fire hose, but just kind of being in the ethernet and around, and what he calls osmosis, by just kind of, being in his world and observing what he's doing. And I did a little green screen post earlier this week about networking and
Awesome.
just connecting people where you can. You've had the graces of experiencing some of my network connections,
Mhm.
and took a page from his, and it's gotten several thousand impressions and reposts and likes and comments and all the measurable stuff that we value in social.
So you and Andrea Sullivan are sort of partnered together to make Vive the success that it is. What works so well between you two?
Yeah, so that was interesting. So Andrea and I actually worked together, literally 20 years ago, if you will, at Interbrand, where she was the chief marketing officer and I was the North American chief operating officer. So we knew each other. We worked well together. I went off to Saatchi and then later to Cito. She stayed at in the Omnicom world and Interbrand for, I think it was 14 years or something like that. And then several years back, probably 6 years ago, Gary was describing, somebody who he wanted in a leadership position. And I'm like, okay, I know somebody like that. I said, I'm going to introduce you to her, and I'm pretty certain you're going to hire her. And that's exactly what happened. And she was his chief marketing officer
Mhm.
for the last 6 years. So in that role and her prior role, her world was Fortune 500 CMOs, right? That's who she's connected to. And for the last 5 years running Sasha, my world was entrepreneurs and founders and, your audience, if you will. So who better when he's trying to create something to bring the two of us together? We had known each other anyway. And I think the real and I had experience with Fortune 500 as well for my times at Interbrand and Saatchi and Cito. Um, but I think the beauty of this now is she's really gained a great respect and appreciation for founders and entrepreneurs, and really, seeing what she's been missing out by not, having a lot of experience with that side of things, but she's gravitating to them so nicely, and they really appreciate what she brings to the table as well.
Vive by Vayner, uh,
VYVE,
VY, what?
VYVE. Most people would spell it VIVE, but it's VYVE.
Right,
And the
you're
Y,
spelling it out, Vive.
yes,
Well,
like it's arms up for the Y in there. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, what is the word in the title? What does that word signify? What is that?
Well, we just wanted to we wanted to make up a word actually, so it was easier to kind of register, right? Got that from my Interbrand days, right? So it's a lot easier to register a made up word.
Wow.
But we
VYVE, Vive. Yeah.
VYVE. And we're talking about igniting your thrive. We play on the words too. We run it on a platform called Mighty Networks, which we call our hive, right? And when we post in there, it's a daily jive. So we just
So
are
you took
having
the
some
V
fun with
from
them.
Vayner and made Vive.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So you could see it in the logo and everything, which is designed in house by one of our designers here.
And it's obvious everywhere you see it printed. It's lowercase V,
Yeah.
uppercase
It's
Y,
why.
lowercase V, and lowercase E.
Right.
So I love that. So like the hands and the energy and the arms
Yeah.
up and the embrace.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Gary said. He refers to Andrea as the passion and me as the practical. So he said he purposely brought together the passion and the practical to create a business model here.
There's a lot, I'm sure, in these first two cohorts of Vive that you see are home runs and working. Tell me what you've learned so far that really hasn't worked.
So we've done research, and the research showed that the right size is between 8 and 12 because of the super high personal touch that Andrea and I and some others bring to this. They get a personal sort of concierge type service from us. Meaning that if we're not covering a topic in the 16-week curriculum, we will still bring it to the table on their behalf. So making connections, networking, leaning into either Andrea and I's personal network or the Vaynerverse, right? I have a question about e-commerce, and today we're not, there's nothing in the curriculum about e-commerce because this particular cohort didn't need it, but I need it personally. So we'll connect them with somebody in the Vaynerverse who will, educate them on that. We do a lot on the personal branding side as well. But how the cohorts have come together, our research showed that the first cohort sells on the trust of those selling it, right? So that was really Andrea and I. We together we knew all 10 in the first cohort. The second cohort sells on the testimonies of the first cohort, and that is exactly right because we only know 2 out of the 12 in the second class. And the third class, which for us starts February 25th of 2025, um, that class will sell on the measurable ROI of the first two classes. So, you're working with one of our Vivers now, and her business has had the last 2 months have been the best 2 months in the history of her business. We have another gentleman who his business tripled. I have another one who um, uh, had a post recently go viral, 8.5 million views. So these are measurable sort of ROI pieces that will help sell the third cohort.
So what's been an element that you said, that didn't work. We got to plan better for that or adjust that?
To tell you the truth, we haven't had many trip ups. There were several things that we underestimated. I underestimated the the peer to peer value.
Mm.
I was very concerned with programming, and we're going to have this speaker, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And Andrea sort of uh, uh, reminded me ahead of time, like, there's going to be value in the community talking amongst themselves and interacting with themselves. Um so I saw that in the first cohort, and now in the second cohort we purposefully programmed that into the system where we call it superpowers. So what's your superpower, and what is that you want to bring to the community? And we give them a stage and a platform to do that for 30 minutes once a week. So that was something I didn't have in the first cohort. Probably should have, had I listened to her a little earlier, we probably would have programmed that in, but we really kind of needed to see it. And now it is programmed in the second cohort.
It reads so well when you see online what you get out of these 16 weeks. You're
Yeah, it's a
not
lot.
only Yeah, I mean, you're not only meeting virtually, but you're meeting in person. You're meeting with you and Andrea and Gary
Mhm.
at times, and
Yeah.
you're going to dinners, and you're also
Yeah.
going cross country and meeting up on retreats.
Yeah. 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 So it kind of kicks off with a live in person in New York, and the first two did that, and then it's a dinner with Gary at one of his restaurants. Most recently, it's been Little Maven, but he's now just opened a Fly Fish Club as well. And then everything is virtual. That's another thing we underestimated. I thought a lot of people would be from New York. We have virtually nobody from New York. I have an international audience. We have the first two cohorts have London, India, Australia, Costa Rica, Canada. So it's all over the place. So the virtual works well. It's the virtual meetings every Friday, um, purposefully, because we want you to be thinking about the weekend, stepping into sewing into yourself, and it's me time now, right? So we're purposely scheduling them on Fridays. And then we regroup again in person in a growth summit. And the first one was, and the second one will be at Chip Connolly's Modern Elder Academy. He has two of them. He has one in Baja, Mexico, and we've been using the one in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it's just been a really spectacular experience for all of us. Even me and Andrea. I mean, we go deep. It's emotional. There's crying, there's laughing. It's it gets heavy. We take it serious. And one of the things that we do have is an on-staff PhD, Dr. Natasha, who has a PhD in org design as well. So she becomes the executive coach to the Vivers, and they found some real value in that. We talk about the fact that she was supposed to be the sprinkles on the cake, and she quickly became a part of the cake.
Wow, what an amazing analogy. This seems
Mhm.
like the concept easily to grab onto, that you are the sum of the people you're in the room with. And it seems like you're getting all the right people in the room, so much so that you even bring in these guest speakers on the regular to mix up with them.
Yeah, yeah. So, look, iron sharpens iron when it rubs up against each other, and that's the purpose of these small groups. And we bring in famed people
Mm-hmm.
like Damon John and Matt Higgins from Shark Tank, or Bobby Brown, and this time we're going to have Deepak Chopra as well. So we talk about nutritional wellness, we talk about sleep wellness. We're trying to make for well-rounded individuals. Uh, we are introducing them to, we have an award-winning plant-based chef who, uh, won on Food Network and, has her own cookbook. So we introduce them to something like that, which, it's a learning for me too. As I experience these, I've never done, meditation and things like that. We have, uh, uh, partners like a Roulette, which is a wellness app that we use, and the Mighty Networks, a platform that it runs on, an app-based thing on your phone where we're constantly pushing content in. So we have some great sponsors like Shutterstock, who's leaned into us, and LinkedIn as a partner. I mean, it's been really cool.
And it seems like what I've read, you through Vibe, you focus on developing the personal and professional. Do you
Yeah.
think that it's sort of like the chicken or the egg, right? Which comes first? Do you enhance the professional by the personal, or is it vice versa?
It's what Gary calls and. Okay. You got to do it all, right? So we're going to talk to you about modern day marketing. We're going to talk to you about organic reach into social space. We're going to talk to you about where you find underpriced attention. We're going to talk to you about AI. We're going to talk to you about negotiation skills. But hey, by the way, if you ever want to write a book or you are trying to get on a board of directors, we're going to connect you in with people that know how to do that as well. We'll reach back into our network for whatever your needs are. And which is why the classes got to stay at the sizes that they are, or we'll be kind of overwhelmed.
And it seems like, especially from my point of view, I mean, I've been connected with you for really years, and it seems like we've never lost touch. I mean, going to VCon for the past 3 years, that's always a great meetup, especially at this last one.
Mhm.
The Vivers were, they had their own thing and own energy and packed.
Yeah,
I witnessed the whole time.
yeah.
So it seems like once you're in your network, I'm
You're
guessing by
in
design, you never leave.
you're in the Vayner family. I mean, that's what it's all about. And then we have an Elevate program for those. We had the first cohort people graduate and they didn't want to leave. They're trying to figure out a way to still stay involved. Like, holy shit, the 4 months is over. Like, what happens here? So we developed the Elevate program that kind of keeps them in the loop and gives them access to the concierge type services, as well as the executive coach, as well as sitting in on a periodic speaker that they might be interested in the future class, or meeting up with a VaynerX event, perhaps Art Basel or CES or something like that. So just keeping them in the game, in a way that's important. And many of them, some of them were clients, but some of them are current clients of either VaynerMedia or the Sasha Group. Some were past clients. Some came through 4D. Some came through mentors. Some had no relation. One or two who had never even heard of Gary. So, which is wild. But how you see how this thing works, and we're going to use you as a prime example. So we had a Viver who met with Gary. The Viver was told by Gary that she needs to be doing more in podcasting. She sent me a note saying, "Hey, Gary said I need to be more in podcasting. How do I start?" I connected her with you in 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
You were hired within 24, 48 hours, maybe.
Yeah. Tops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, kind of that's how it works, right? So where are you going to get that access where I'm not just recommending somebody I don't know. Like, I'm putting you with somebody who I trust, who I know is going to move the needle on your business. And I got the note last week that you are, and she's thrilled with that. Well, I think I've done that probably 2 dozen times already in the first two classes. I had a gentleman who had a very successful franchise business here in the United States, wanted to figure out, maybe it's right. Should I go to Europe with this business? And I don't know. And I said, no, no problem. You want to talk to the guy who brought Subway franchises to Europe? He's sitting in Germany. I have him in my cell phone.
Wow.
Connected guy flies over from Germany to meet with him down in Florida. Like, that's the kind of juice that we're moving around in the hallways here.
Is it really about for me looking in, it feels like attracts like, to put it one way, right? Like if you belong in the circle with the people, you'll find your way to it.
Well, look, Andrea and I do select everybody who kind of goes in. We're spending 45 minutes on the phone onboarding and really understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish personally and business wise, to make sure that we're properly programming. Um, but they are total strangers when they come in, and after just a few sessions, they're a community. Um, that's the aha for me, is like, wow, there, and you couldn't be more different, dentist in South Carolina and a solar energy company in the UK and a mother-daughter ski resort in Montana. There is no similarities. They're just hungry business leaders, that are finding community and coming together. So it's a pretty cool eclectic mix that you'd never really find. I don't know where you find anything like this, really.
Doors open for the next one soon, right? Every 4 months, this is a rolling.
Yeah, yeah.
How do
So
people get involved?
so it's Vive. You can just Google Vive now, and it brings you to Vive.VaynerX. You can we have a Vive by Vayner on LinkedIn. We have it on Instagram, on Twitter, or X now, as it's called, on TikTok. So DMing on any of those spots, gets you a calendar invite from Andrea and I. The next cohort, we're in the middle of this one as we speak. The next cohort kicks off February 25th and 6th in New York City, and then wraps up in June 1st to the 4th, likely in Santa Fe again. And then the one after that starts June 10th. So there'll be three standing up in 2025.
Regardless of whatever level the listener is at in their own business, what is the general consensus from your point of view that they should be focusing on?
I think they should focus on the soft skills of leadership, the kindness, the empathy, the gratitude, because business materializes when you do that. Look, Gary's written a plethora of books, right? Jab, 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 right hook. Serve, serve, serve before you ask for something. Too many people just pick up the phone and they ask right into the hard sell.
Hmm.
It's also like what we're doing. We're talking about branding and building brands, and brands are built on social, but building a brand is not the same as selling, right? So it takes time to build a brand, and then that's one path of social marketing. And then if you're trying to move product off the shelf, it's a different approach. And we talk about that. We talk about um, using our organic reach, not just paid media, right? So where are we finding the underpriced attention? How do we build the various cohorts and then customize the creative, which we believe is the variable to the success, right? To target each of these cohorts. And we're talking about putting out multiple pieces of content to see what sticks, and not being too passionate, not trying to create art here. You know what I mean? We're trying to either create awareness and brand the company, or we're trying to move something off a shelf, a product or service.
You've been under VaynerX for going on 10 years, you've said now. What
Yeah.
is something personally that you've learned about yourself that you couldn't have imagined otherwise?
There's no substitute for wisdom and experience. Um, and I have them right now. So, that's the value that I bring. There's always somebody smarter than you in something. But, another thing that Gary said when he hired me, which I thought was brilliant, was, you've made 25 years of mistakes I don't want to make. So help me avoid the potholes and move faster. Right. So that's what we're doing through Vive, and connecting people with. So I have this Viver who's into dentistry, and I want to do more in the branding of dentistry. Great. I'm going to have you talk to this guy in the dental space who's already done heavy lifting and branding. So learn from his experiences of 30 minutes on a phone call, rather than go down the path of trial and error. Oh, but I want to build my own in-house production arm in this multi-office dental practice. I talked to this guy over here who actually built it, and here's some of the job specs that he used to hire the right people. So we're helping people avoid the potholes and move faster.
Wow, James Orsini, an absolute gentleman and a scholar, literally. So honored, so happy to know you and be in your world. Let's do this again and again. Thank you, James.
Absolutely, and congratulations on your 300th episode here of your show. Looking forward to hearing more about the hidden entrepreneur.
You're wonderful. Thank you, James. And thank you, Hidden Nation, for tuning in. There you go. Check out Vive by Vayner, vYve, all over Google by design, clearly, right? Let's follow the leader here. Follow what they're doing well, and you can implement. No matter where you are in your business, there is something for you here. Go check it out. Follow James Orsini on LinkedIn and all the other platforms. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you spending your time, investing your time. Continue to do the good work, put your best foot forward, take action, get out there, be visible, make good things happen. We're going to do this again before too long. Until we meet again, Hidden Nation, take care, be well.